Hey guys, so in this video I'm going to be talking about the film It, and this is a Stephen King adaptation. Now I say film, it's actually not a film. It was released as a mini-series on TV and kind of collected this huge cult following, and it's still popular to this day. I had actually never seen it. I'd heard a lot about it. I knew a lot about Pennywise, who is the creature on the front cover, but I actually didn't really know anything about the storyline or what happens in this film. So I saw it in one of my local DVD shops and I picked it up, and I'm glad I did. I really enjoyed it. I watched this with my partner and he had already seen this, but he didn't give anything away and I thought it was really good. I was actually really surprised. Now, this is actually kind of set in two parts because it was a mini-series. I believe like the first part was shown one night and then the second part was shown another night. So you could always say this was kind of like two films as well. It's set in two different time periods, so it's the same set of characters, but the first half is when they're children and the second half is when they're adults. I like the first half a lot better than the second half, and that's purely because of the acting. I thought the child actors in this is really good. And in both parts it's basically this creature, which they call It, is kind of this supernatural being, and it can shapeshift and kind of turn into horrific and terrifying creatures. Basically whatever like your worst nightmare is, it can bring it to life. But most of the time you see him as this clown called Pennywise, and I thought it was just amazing. The character is played by Tim Curry and he did an amazing job. I actually really like Pennywise. I could see this being scary, like if you're younger and you watch this. It's kind of the same thing to me as The Exorcist. It's the same kind of thing. I feel like if I watched it sooner or watched it when I was younger, then it would have scared me. But now I'm an adult, I can kind of see more of the comical side of it. So yeah, it's this really, sadistic, sarcastic, wisecracking kind of clown figure that's tormenting these children. He comes back every 30 years, I think it is, to lure children and kill them, basically. He's a murderer, and that's very creepy in itself, but the way Pennywise is played as a character, it's just really well done. You kind of have to just see it to know what I'm talking about, but it's great acting. I really thought he was quite creepy, and yeah, very well done. So the first half, obviously they're children in school. There's a gang of children, and they call themselves the Losers Club. So it's all these kind of outcast children come together as friends, and they are each getting tormented by It, and they kind of come together to figure out how to defeat him. So yeah, the beginning of the film, we kind of see It, and he lures a young child, and kind of talking to him, and then he murders him. And it's the brother of the young child who is kind of the main focus of this film. He's one of the boys in the gang, and he's the one who kind of, tries to get them all together and tries to defeat the clown. And yeah, I just thought it was very well done. The acting of the children in this is really good. I actually thought their acting was better than the adults' acting in the second half. So I really liked the first half. It was kind of funny because I bought this DVD and we watched it, and I didn't realise it was like a two-part thing. And I watched it and it ended, and I was like, oh, is that how it's going to end? Because the ending is quite abrupt and quite sad with the first half. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I was speaking to my partner about it, and he was like, no, that's not how it ends. There's another part to that. And we didn't realise, so we went out and bought another DVD. We bought it again, because I thought the one I bought from the second-hand shop was just the first half. So he went out and bought me off Amazon the film It again. And I was like, well, it's in exactly the same box as the other one that I bought from the second-hand shop. And what I didn't realise was that the first half of the film is on one side of the DVD, and then you flip it over, and the second half is on the other side. So it's a double-sided DVD, basically. So if you do decide to buy It, it doesn't, I mean, it didn't say anywhere on the case, I don't think, that that's what you have to do. But yeah, basically it's a double-sided DVD. So one half is the first half with the children, and then you flip it over, and the second half is with the adults. And I thought that's really cool, actually. I've never actually seen that before in a DVD. I didn't know you could do like double-sided DVDs, but I don't know, I just thought that was pretty cool. So I thought I would mention it. And also, to those of you who might watch this and go out and buy the DVD, just be aware it is all on one disc. You just have to flip it over. Because yeah, we didn't realise until we bought, so we now have 2 copies of the same thing. So I might give one away to a friend. But yeah, so we went to watch the second half once we realised you had to flip the disc over. And yeah, the second half, it's 30 years later, basically. And one of the children who was in this gang, they all kind of grew up and they moved away, and they've all become very successful. They all have good and bad parts to their lives as adults. But one of the kids is still in Maine. I think this is set. He's still in Maine, he's still living there, and children are starting to disappear and turn up, you know, dead. The children are being kidnapped and killed again, and he realises that Pennywise is back. So he contacts all of his friends. They kind of made a promise to each other that they would, if it ever came back, they would, you know, help fight it, help each other out, help to destroy it. So they kind of all team up. All the adults come back, and you kind of, with the adult version, whereas the children, it was the children, okay, they did have like their own family issues and, you know, difficulties in their lives, but it was kind of just mainly focused on them trying to figure out how to destroy it. In the second half, it's more focused on their lives as adults and what's going on in their lives, how it's affected their personalities, how they've changed, how they're still the same, that kind of thing. And that was definitely interesting. The acting, as they are as adults, they're kind of strange. Like some of the stuff they say and do, I'm just like, okay. Yeah, it is. I think it's comical in parts where it's not supposed to be comical, but it just kind of is, especially the ending, and you know, parts towards that and how they kind of defeat it in the end, the second time. Yeah, there are some quite funny bits that are probably not supposed to be funny, but I found them funny. And even my partner, as we were watching the second half, he was like, yeah, I don't really remember the adults being this kind of weird in the second half of the film, but yeah, there are bits that are a bit like, okay. But I would still, yeah, recommend it. I still really enjoyed it. Again, I think the first half is better. I did enjoy the second half still. I'm glad I've seen it, and I'm glad I've watched the whole thing. I just think it's something that if you haven't seen, you really need to watch. Just because, like, it's one of those films that is kind of a cult classic, and I feel like, you know, it's one of those films that I would recommend, even if it is a bit silly and the acting is a bit strange in some parts. I still think it's definitely worth watching. It's very entertaining. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about it. If you've seen it and have different thoughts to me or the same, then please let me know in the comments down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and until next time, thank you for watching. Bye guys.